Okay, this is the trilogy Golovkin versus Canelo or Canelo versus Golovkin post-fight show. Join us on BWTM Sports. Don't go anywhere. Well, there you have it. Your third fight, Golovkin, Canelo versus Golovkin. The third fight, the trilogy. A lot of people thought that Canelo was going to this fight and knock Golovkin out. The fight went 12 rounds. It was a pretty much lackluster fight. Um, and Triple G did almost nothing in the fight, almost virtually nothing. He had a moment in the fight and he was quite content to go to points. It's like he premeditated before, like, I'm going in there, screw the fans, forget the promoter. I'm gonna go out there and I'm going to points. And that's it. I'm going to points. I'm gonna go 12 rounds. It's Canelo. I'm gonna go 12 rounds. What the hell? Doesn't matter if I don't become super middleweight champion. I can always go back down to middleweight. That's my weight. That's where I fight at. I'm more comfortable at middleweight. It was my first fight at super middleweight. I'm still champion at middleweight. I just wonder if Golovkin would have fought the same way if he wasn't a champion at a middleweight. So that's the question I would ask. As for Canelo, to me, they said he improved. Same old Canelo. Good, effective at what he does. I didn't understand why Triple G allowed Canelo to walk him back as much, because when Triple G used the jab and pushed Canelo back, that's when Canelo would voluntarily go to ropes, and that was the best time for Triple G to throw shots and to land shots. He did when he did get him against the ropes, he did land shots. Again, no disrespect to Jonathan Banks, but yet another fight where Jonathan Banks is in the corner of a fighter that he cannot motivate. Everyone talks Jonathan Banks. If you look at Jonathan Banks when he was in the corner against Klitschko, when Klitschko fought Fury, there was no sense of energy. Again, you need to step it up, baby. There was no urgency. Let's go F him up. And there was no energy. There was no eye of the tiger. There was no motivation for your trainer, if you were to do a video game, you're going to pick trainers, and then you were going to go through various trainers and motivation and to rally you in a fight. Jonathan Banks would get a 0. Because he doesn't know how to motivate fighters. He doesn't know how to get the best out of fighters. At no point in those 12 rounds, which Banks is paid to do, was he able to motivate and encourage Triple G to just get something out of Triple G. Just do something. Even in the 12th round, get something out of him. Triple G was more, as I said, he was more happy to hold, to clinch, particularly in the 12th round. You don't let me see G do those things. And somebody called him Triple H. I think it was Sergio Mora called him Triple H. Well, yeah, I think Triple H would have probably put in a better performance than Triple G. Might have got himself knocked out, but ultimately, I think he would have given us a better performance, even if he's a WWF wrestler. I've always said I'm not a great fan of Triple G. I've always thought he was highly overrated, and one of the worst things he did was to leave Abel Sanchez to go with Jonathan Banks. It just wasn't justified. A lot of these people you hear in boxing, when a fighter loses a fight, go to Jonathan Banks. Why? You know that if your back's up against it, so it's like, you know what? There's only so much Jonathan Banks can do. Or we did all this stuff in sparring. Who were you sparring against? I mean, I just wonder, people say, oh, Triple G was fighting a guy, in Canelo it was faster. Well, hey, who are you sparring? He didn't even look like he'd been much sparring. He looked like he cut corners in sparring in training camp. That's what G looked like to me. Looked like a guy that cut corners. He looked old, but he didn't look that old. And, he looked like he had more in him. Now, I don't know if he's peed with the promoter, Hearn, and he wants to just get away from part. And he thought, you know what? I'm just going to do the 12 rounds, get the best I can get out of this fight and be done with it. I don't know. But I suspect that Triple G, if you look at him, his facial expressions before the fight, his facial expressions in the dressing room before, and it was almost like, you know what, going to go 12 rounds. That like people said that he lacked confidence. I think he lacked confidence. I think he said, you know what? I'm not going to do anything that's going to get me into too much trouble. I'm going to see I'll see the punches coming. Yep, I can see that punch coming. Yep, I can see that punch coming. Yep, I didn't see that. I can take that shot there. But at no point did I see Triple G. He had a moment. Was he in the 8th or the 9th round? I think he hit Canelo with a jab, and you could see that Golovkin had visibly moved Canelo. He didn't do anything. He just looked at him. So those are my thoughts there. Let me bring people into the room and hear what people are saying. Right. He goes, sad fight, really. Just glad Golovkin didn't get stopped. Hey, Barry, how you doing? First time scorecards have been harsh on Canelo. Terrible cards, absolutely. Oh, yeah, he was in the corner for Vlad versus Fury. Yeah, so there you go. When people call out Jonathan Banks, you know they don't know anything about boxing. Easy Ingram. Yes, how are we doing? G should retire, to be honest. I don't know if he'll retire. I think he'll go back to middleweight and make some money there. I don't think any trainer could motivate GGG tonight. It's not on Banks for me. No, I think it is on Banks because I don't think. I mean, I'd like to know who G was sparring in camp and stuff. Can't imagine it was an off day. You just have to look at Jonathan Banks. I just gave you an example of Banks in another fight when it comes to motivating fighters. I gave you an example of Fury versus Vlad. Vlad probably looked his worst there. It could not motivate Vlad whatsoever. I can give you other fights as well where Banks has been in the corner. Why did Triple not throw like he did the first 2 fights? Did reaction slower? He looked physically strong for the fight, so I don't know why. Fair play for 40. He did not get KO'd. I didn't think Canelo was going to stop him, but there you go. Ingram, thoughts on Banks? Well, you know my thoughts on Banks. You know, it's not. I'm not being disrespectful to Banks. It's just I'm calling it as I see it. You know, there was no. You know, even trainers of the past, Ronnie Davis. Nobody's going to put Ronnie Davis and say Ronnie Davis is a better trainer than Jonathan Banks. But I've seen Ronnie Davis slap Chris Eubank Sr. in the corner, slap him. I've heard him say, come, come, come. He slapped Eubank in the corner. Even you just kind of slapped him, bam, and slapped Eubank, and Eubank's kind of got into it and gone charging out the next corner. Where are those iconic moments? You saw Sugar Ray Leonard was losing his fight, and Angela Dundee jumped to the corner and said, you're blowing it, son. That's what we're talking about, trainers being average trainers, good trainers, and great trainers. And to me, that is part of the fight. Well, otherwise, why are you paying for a trainer? Just to stay in the corner and say, yeah, go on, keep going. Man, you need to open up, man. I mean, my gosh. The trainer shows no passion. How the hell are you going to have any passion? You know, you're looking for your training for inspiration. Where's the inspiration from Banks? What are you being paid to do? How long has Banks been training fighters for? A long time. Canelo wasn't that great, to be fair. No, I didn't think he was that fantastic. Looked like GG was pulling his right hand. That's what he looked like to me as well. It didn't look like he was like as if he wanted 2 things. He was given instructions in no uncertain terms, go out there and try and stop Canelo, or he was told in no uncertain terms, take the money and just go home. You know, you're middleweight champion. Go and defend your fighters. Go and fight at middleweight and do your stuff at middleweight. But super middleweight, leave Canelo alone. I don't know, because it was almost, you know what the fight sort of looked like? It reminded me of when Kovalev fought Canelo, and Kovalev didn't throw a right hand in that fight. It was jab, 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 jab. I was that boxing with the jab until he got hit with a right hand by Canelo, left hook combination. I just think to myself, that's another fight I've seen with Canelo, with a fighter who usually throws a right hand, didn't throw a right hand with any sort of purpose. Felt like Canelo, felt sorry for G in there. Oh, light went. He looked like he was worried to let his hands go. Maybe. Till the last few rounds. I don't know about that. I think maybe he banked on the fact that Canelo's stamina still isn't great in the latter half of fights. He pushes her early in fights, and then rounds, say like 9, 10, 11, 12, Canelo, he can't fight 12. Canelo cannot fight 12 rounds hard. He takes breaks in fights. You've got to remember that when you're looking at Canelo. And those are one of his weaknesses. You push Canelo, push Canelo, push Canelo. Yeah, that's where you get it. The 2 fights Canelo's been beaten in, he's been handily had an arse whooping. The 2 fights against guys who've got high output of punches and have got good boxing skills. Look at the 2 guys that have beaten Canelo. High output of punches and are good movers. Bivol and Mayweather. He's not just been outpointed. He's been busted up and beaten up. The 2 fights. So that's Canelo right there for you. So that there is the story to unlocking Canelo. Be a guy who can throw volumes of punches, so you can offset his rhythm, and then when he's tired, jump at him and throw even more punches. Canelo can't deal with second phase of attacks. It's clear to see. Absolutely, he wants to rematch Bivol. Tough ass to beat him. He can't beat Bivol. No way, no shape, no form. He can't beat Bivol, and he certainly can't beat Ramirez. So he needs to keep himself quiet about fighting Bivol. He'll probably fight Bivol in about 10 years' time. Yeah. Or if Ramirez happens to, because Ramirez can punch. If he can stop Canelo, stop Bivol, then yeah. But otherwise, he's going to have no business with Bivol. So don't get into any of that. Don't get into any of that. I don't even listen to that from Canelo. I would like to see Charlo fight Canelo next. I don't know what the hell's going on with Jamal Charlo's career. I'm a big fan of Jamal Charlo, but he's got to step up and fight somebody. My God, why doesn't he fight Triple G the next fight? That's a perfect fight now for Jamal Charlo. Step up, pick up your balls, and go and fight Golovkin. You've got the WBC title. Golovkin's got the other belts, I believe. Charlo, Golovkin next. What is Charlo waiting for? Make that fight happen. And of course, Golovkin's now out of contract with DAZN. Charlo, Golovkin. That's obviously got to be the next fight at middleweight for me. Although there's the WBO king as well, isn't it? That guy from, is it Kazakhstan? There's a WBO guy as well who's pretty dangerous. What white is Charlo? Is Benavidez Charlo Canelo? Yeah, can see that fight. What weight is Charlo? Man, he's middleweight. He's a middleweight. He's middleweight, so he can fight at middleweight, and he should fight. I believe he should fight Golovkin next for me. That would make sense. Yeah, and if Charlo can have a high work rate and keep and back Golovkin up and put him against the ropes, I believe he's got a high chance of beating Golovkin. But if he stands up for Golovkin and he tries to box Golovkin from long range, I think he'll get caught with something nasty in between. Yeah, of course. I've always said it. That's the fight. Charlo versus GGG. And if he can be convincing and beat GGG, then I think he should go for Canelo after that. GGG needs to retire. A middleweight, maybe not. Proud of GG since, despite result never being down. Congrats, Canelo. His weighting game is class. Yeah. So I momentarily became a Triple G fan when he was walking to the ring. That's where I became a fan of Triple G, because I want him to beat Canelo. But, I remain in my comments about Triple G. I have never thought he was an all-time great. I've always thought he was a good fighter. His punching power was overrated. I've said it, and I will stand by it. Canelo couldn't stop or even hurt, and nothing come back Golovkin. Feel sorry for anyone who paid for that crap. And the judges' scorecards were wrong all the fight on that. Oh, yeah, of course, totally. Right, let me cut up here because it's a short post-fight. Maybe get Uncle Bashir in tomorrow to talk. The scorecards were funny and should have been wider. 117, 111. I agree with that. I would agree with that. All right, let me get out of here. Thank you all so much. As always, if you're new, please do hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, and consider being a member. I'm out of here. Have a great night. Take care.